Hey, how's it going? I hope your week's off to a great start. Another Time Machine Tuesday here on Brickscale Studios starts right now. Welcome back to Brickscale Studio. Again, my name is Jeff, and I'm super excited to have you here on another episode of Build the Back to the Future DeLorean. So for today's episode, we are going to be building issues 36 through 40 in the Partwork DeLorean and steps 127 through 140 in the LEGO DeLorean. Now, this episode is a little long, so I'm going to be brief, but all I'm going to say for now is lessons were learned in this video. So let's get into the build, and I'll meet you on the other side. So here is the magazine. So it looks like we're going to be putting in the rear wheel arches. So I'm glad they call them arches instead of wells, because that's a tongue twister. So we're putting in the right and left rear wheel arches. So great, here are and we're also attaching the pontoons we made in the last episode. So I'll need to grab those. And then here is the magazine talking about some of the production technology. And then it looks like next episode we have some wiring, so that should be exciting. So let's get into issue 37. So here are the parts, and let me go grab those pontoons that we made in the last episode. All right, here are those pontoons, so I'm just going to set them off to the side here while we get into these parts. And these are metal. And we have some DM screws. So yes, these are metal parts. And again, they're stamped. This one has an L, and this one has an R. So we know that this one goes on this side, and this one goes on this side. So the first one we're going to be working with is the left side. So I believe that is this one. And then we're going to be attaching the left pontoon. And it's going to be going on the underside here. All right, so there are two tabs and then a locating lug. So here is the little lug. So that is going to fit on there just like that. And then that's going to line up like so. And those are going in with DM screws. So let's get those out. So again, these are DM screws. So we're screwing into metal, but the part that we're attaching is plastic. So again, broken record, I know. We just want to be careful that we do not over tighten and crack the plastic. So here is the first one, get that started. That kind of holds everything in place. And then we get the second one going here. All right, so those are both tightened down. So now this is going to go just like this. Of course, it wants us to have the car this way. So the part with the pontoon is going to go toward the back. So this is going to go here, and these are going to go here. It does snap in over here, so we are going to proceed with DM screws. I'm going to tack this back one down first, and then I'm going to do the front. All right, so we got the front one started. Now let's see if we can coax this back one in here. So far, so good. Now, we'll see if we can get this center one. All right, so hopefully you got that. That was a little tricky to get in, and just getting everything lined up just took a little doing, but we got it. It's funny, I remember the last episode, I kind of mentioned like, oh my gosh, I love these models, they're going so well. And then, of course, boom, we hit a snag, but we got it figured out. We're good. All right, so again, this one, there is the little hole that's going to line up with this lug, just like so. And then we're going to go in again with some DM screws. All right, so that's the right pontoon. Okay, so let's hope that... Now this one we want to be careful of this wire. We don't want to pinch it when we attach this. So, again, let's get this sort of lined up here. Now this side is proving to be even more difficult than the previous side. Okay, so that side we got lined up. Okay, I think we got it. Okay. So that's grabbed on that end. Yeah, so some of these metal parts, they can get a little wonky. Either in shipping or whatever. So sometimes you might just have to, you know, check them out and so you just kind of have to give them a bend. Okay, that is in and tight to get them back in alignment. That is in and tight. And that is in and tight. Okay. So we got it. All right, and that is the end of issue 37. So we've got some wiring, we've got some clear stickers, we've got a plate, we've got some little brackets. All right, so let's check out issue 38. All right, so here is issue 38. Here are the parts. So these are the clear stickers, so I'm going to set those up here. Okay, and then let me get the screws. So we've got a couple screws here, and then I want to grab these little plates. So these are the little plates that we use to sort of train the wires, like these little plates here. So there should be 4 of them, according to the parts, yes. Then we have this plate, and then we have these brackets, which, okay. Let me look and see if the instruction even addresses those. Which it does, okay. So, remember, so I'm going to set these off to the side. So remember, fairly early on, in one of the earlier episodes, we were actually supposed to attach the wheels, and I opted not to because I said that we're going to be putting, throughout later stages in the build, we're going to be putting down pressure onto the car, and the only thing holding those wheels in is like one little screw, and then with the hover mechanism, this part is really fragile, so a lot of people who've already built this have reported that the wheels would just snap, you can snap them off. So they recommend not to put them on until the end. However, the model manufacturer sort of recognized that, and so in this issue they've included these little braces that if you did have the wheels attached, you could put the car up and it would be supported by these braces, so that you would be putting the pressure on these blocks instead of on the wheels. But since we have not attached the wheels, we don't really need these, so I'm just gonna set them aside. They're not, they're not a part that you're gonna attach to the car. They're just to help you during the build. So I'm going to set these aside. So what we are going to be dealing with, though, is all of this wiring, which, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 wires. So we've got 2 bundles here. We should have, it says wire 8, which is in this bundle. Wire 9, which is in this bundle. Wire 12, which is in this bundle, and wire 19, which is in this bundle. So we have all of the wires, we have our brackets, we have our tabs, we have our stickers, and we have our NM screws and our KM screws. So let's see what we're going to be doing first. I'm going to set the wires aside. So it looks like we're going to be dealing with this plate first. So it wants us to attach this plate just like so. Yeah, so the instructions indicate we were supposed to get JM screws and KM screws. However, we have received KM and NM. So it's saying that we need to attach this with the JM screws. So let me consult my box of extra screws here and see if we have 2 extra JM screws, and yeah, they are thicker than these NM screws, so I do not believe the NM screws will work. So here are my extra JM screws. So we are short a JM screw. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put the 2 JM screws I have into these 2 side holes, and then hopefully in a future issue we'll get some more extra JM screws so I can have one to put in the end there. There we go. Alright, so I'm not too concerned that we're missing a screw here. This is not like a structural component, it's just sort of a cover. So hopefully we will not run into any problems. Fingers crossed. Alright, so now we're going to start working with the wiring. So we need wires 12 and 8. And of course they're on different bundles. Alright, so these have a white small plug end and a larger black plug end. So we want for both, and then the number is up on both of these, the number is up toward the white. We want the 2 white ends together, and we want them coming out the front of the car. So I imagine these are going to be for headlights or something like that. So it's telling me that we want to leave 6 to 7 centimeters tail on this end. So let me grab my little ruler. So I'm going to go 7 because I want to be sure I have plenty of space. So make sure you're measuring in centimeters. Alright, so that is about 7 right there. So there are 2 posts here. So we're going to use one of these tabs. Okay, so I almost have it tight. I just want to again check my... Yep, we appear to be good there. We're going to put another tab here. Now, again, caution, these little tabs sort of keep they don't tighten the wire up, so you can still pull them in and out, so be careful. And that's where these clear stickers come in. We're gonna be able to sort of attach them or secure them more in place. Okay, there we go. And then now we are going to use one of these stickers. Okay, we're going to hold that in right there. So now we need wires 9 and 19. So we're going to switch around this way. And again, we're going to do the exact same thing. So yeah, we want that same length. And again, we're going to attach these little tabs to keep that in there. So we're going to snake along this area here, and we're going to put these stickers, one right there, and then it wants another sticker. Okay. So that is that. All right, so that is the finished. So we've got those wires there, and that is it for issue 38. So now moving on to 39. All right, so again, more wires. So let me put this up here. My goodness, I need a bigger table. All right, so we have the chassis plate, and then more wires, more tabs, more screws. So here, so actually we're just dealing with the wires. We have the chassis plate, but we're not doing anything with it. So that's interesting. All right, so let's get the parts, get them open. All right, so here's the part pack for number 39. So again, this is the chassis plate, but we are not going to be doing anything with it in this episode, so I am just going to set it aside. But what we are going to be dealing with is more wires, so let me grab these. And then we have more tabs, so let me grab those. More KM screws. Right, so those are the tabs. These ones are a little bigger. Okay, so you always got to be on your toes. So in the manual, this says this is number 9, but on the actual wire, it's clearly number 6. So we have 6. Remember, we had 9 in the last issue, so here we have 6, 10. So there's 10, and then we have 11, so this one does not have a tag on it, but it does say 11 down here. And then we have 22, which is right here. And then we have 23. So we have 6, 10, 11, 22, and 23. So remember, for some reason, number 11 does not have a white tag on it, but it does have 11 on the connector. So hopefully when the time comes, we will remember that this is 11. The first thing it wants us to do is take number 11, number 10, number 23, and number 6. So in the illustration portion of the instructions, it does say 6. It's only in the part inventory where it says 9. So it wants us to take 11, 10, 23, and 6 and sort of bundle them together with all of the white ends together. And these are fairly short, and they all are pretty much the same length. Okay, so we have these. I'm going to set number 22 aside for the moment. Okay, so it wants us to have the car facing this way. So let me just bring that a little closer. So we're going on this side, and again, it wants us to have, this time, 5 to 6 centimeters from here out. So let's just put that there. So there is 5 right there. And so we are going to secure this with one of these larger plates here. And we're going to do the tab toward the interior of the car. So these are a little easier because it's a wide open spot here. You're not, this hole isn't up against a wall. Okay. So just like so, and then we're going to take a KM screw again. Okay, there we go. Now again, remember these don't really secure this down, it just sort of keeps them in line. So this one, we want to go down right through here. And this time we want the tab to face the wheel arch. Okay, so that one is there, and then we have one more. And this one, we want the screw, or the tab to again face the wheel arch. Okay, so those are fed in. So I'm just gonna lift this up so I can turn the page. All right, so now it wants us to take 22, which is this longer wire. And again, it wants us to have about 5 to 6 centimeters from these posts here. Just like that. I'll check my... And again, this really isn't going to... Like, this still moves in and out, so you're still going to have a little play, but you want to get it, you know... You want to get it in the ballpark. Just till it grabs, okay. All right, so our final one is going here, and we just want to loop that in like so, and we get that tight. Okay, and then, so that is all the wiring. So we set that over here, and then we have our chassis plate, which again, we're not doing anything. So that is the end of issue 39. So let's go to 40. Here is issue 40. So it looks like we have a panel. We have the clutch pedal, the gas pedal, and the brake pedal. Fun. We have a pin, a bracket, a tab, some other tabs, a spring. Oh, you know how I love springs. And then it looks like we have a switch and wire. So let's take a look at the instructions. So first thing we're working on is the panel, and we're attaching these pedals. And then it looks like we're going to attach this panel to our chassis plate that we had in the previous issue. And that is it. We are not going to attach it to the frame yet. So again, I keep wanting to jump the gun and get right into this. So again, we have more of our magazine, and then for our next episode, we'll be working on the center console. So let's get the parts pack for issue 40. So we have our plate, which is this piece here. Lots of screw holes on this side. We've got a bracket, and then we've got our pedals here. And then we have one small tab, and then we have the 3 larger tabs. Here is our spring and our pin, and then we have our screws, and then we have this wire and switch. And it says number 5 on the plug here. So we just put that aside. I'm going to put all these small pieces on my tray over here, which you can't see. But as with the Lego builds, you know that I always have a tray to sort of keep things in their place. So let's put that aside. So the first thing we want to do is attach the brake pedal. So here is our panel. And the brake pedal is this one. I know it's hard to see. Let me try to move the car out of the way a little bit. So we have our panel, and then we have the brake pedal. So there are 3 holes here. 2 of them have sort of a keyhole pattern, and one is just a rectangular. So we're going to put the brake through this middle part here. So we're going to put it through just like that, and then we're going to take that pin. So then we're just going to take and put the pin through the end of the brake. There is a hole. So let me get that started. And so we want to get it kind of centered and then put it, there is a notch that it will fit in this panel. So we want it in there like that. And then we want to take the bracket, so this bracket piece, and we want to take that like so. And that's going to go right over that piece, just like that. And that's going to be secured in with AP screws. Okay, so I'm just going to take this bracket and secure this side in. Okay, so you get those tight, but don't over tighten because we're all plastic here. And you do not want to crack this bracket. Okay, so that is the brake pedal. Now, oh my goodness. So now's the time for our spring. So now we take our spring, and there is an end with a hook and an end with a loop. So we want the end with the hook. Okay, so there is a little itty bitty hole, and I know you are not going to be able, I mean, I can barely see it, but we want to hook this just like that. And of course it doesn't help that this is like black on black, so that makes it a little more difficult as well, but there we go. We got that hooked in. Okay, and then we're just going to take an AP screw, put the screw through the loop at the end of the spring. That loop is a little hard to see. Okay, so now we have a brake pedal. That was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so now we want to take the clutch pedal, and we're going to put it right next to the brake pedal, obviously. So this has a key, so you can't really screw it up because it has a keyhole pattern. So there is a notch at the top and a notch at the top here. So yeah, you can't really screw it up. And then that is also going to go in with an AP screw. And again, we're plastic and plastic, so don't go crazy on over tightening. And then next we're going to take the accelerator, which again has a keyhole pattern. There's a notch going off to the side, and there is a notch right there. So that is super simple. So that's again going in with an AP screw. And again, I know, broken record, but we are plastic on plastic, so do not over tighten. So there are our pedals. Hopefully you can see that. This brake one is on the spring, so it does move. The other 2 are static. We're going to take our wire. Okay, now this is the part that makes me nervous because never done any of this kind of thing before. So you want to make sure that this switch is in between this notch here. And you'll see, again, I'll try to do a close-up when we get there in the editing. But when you push on the brake pedal, you want this tab to close that circuit. And that's going to give you brake lights when we get this wired up. And we're going to secure this in with an AP screw. Okay, so we got that in. All right, make sure that is tight. Okay, so we got that in. Now it wants us to bring over this panel that we had, and this is going around like this. So this panel, so yeah, it wants this wire to come out of this notch here. And then there are 3 holes And we're going to line those up with these 3 notches. And those are going in with BP screws. So this is going right over like so. Just like that. All right, and then we just want to go back through and just give it a test. That's good. And that's good. So there we have that piece. All right, so now we have that wire secured. And actually I'm going to back that off a little bit because I see that it's pulling on the lug there. Okay, perfect. So now it wants us to train this down here and use our big tabs. And all of them are going to be going with the tab on this end and the screw on that end. All right, there's 1. There's 2. All right, that is it for issue 40. So again, just like in the last episode, we are left with parts that we're not attaching to the main model, which I imagine is going to go in here somewhere at some point. Also, we are in issue 40, so we do have some modifications that we can use. So let me grab those really quick. All right, so we have these carpets that from Mike Lane Mods that we can attach in here. So let me get this open and we'll see what we have. So we have some bulkhead pieces, and then we have some, looks like the floor pieces. The ones that we're working with today are going to be these pieces here. And they are going to, it looks like I should have I should have put this down on the carpet before I secured the pedals, because this needs to go. But these are great. They're perfectly cut to account for all of the screw holes, and so this one is obviously going to go just like so. Yeah, that is nice. So we have lovely little carpeting. And then I imagine this is going to go like so, and we are going to bend it over. And again, this all should have been done before we put the stuff on, but again, I forgot about it. So there you have it. Okay, so we're going to attempt this live. So I'm going to start with the side pieces here. So I'm just going to fold that back. And this is really sticky, so I'm going to kind of peel and stick as we go. So that is that side. Alright, so I kind of bunged up this one, so try to be a little more careful than I was. But yeah, that's going to be hidden under the seat anyway, so I'm just going to put a little piece of tape for now. Because yeah, this is going to be hidden under the seat, so as you want to make sure that you get your holes lined up. That's the main part here, so definitely want to do that. So this one I'm just going to dry fit in here really quick. Okay, yes. So again, the other thing that's tricky is all of these pieces are like curved, so they don't meet the, like I said, they don't actually, it's really hard to to get them to meet, especially once you have that backing. So now again, don't be too worried about how this looks because there's going to be a console that sits over it. So don't worry about that. So this one's going to be the tricky one because of all of my pedals, especially that brake one because it's on the spring. So it just wants to bounce back when I try to put it on there. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that on there without. So let's take the gas pedal and the clutch out at least. And we can work around the brake pedal. I'm not taking the brake pedal. I mean, there's no way because, yeah, I have the spring and everything on there. So backing part is the trickiest part to like get situated. Don't make the same mistakes I do, and so you want to make sure that you get these. In this case, you want to make sure before you start putting all this stuff together, if you know you have a mod, look at the instructions first, and then you won't run into these problems. But we got it in the end, and it's going to be fine. So the rest of these carpet pieces I'm going to set aside because those are going to come later. Okay, so that was the end of issue 40, and that's the end of the DeLorean section. And so let's move on to the LEGO section. Okay, so we finished the Partwork DeLorean section. So let's get into the LEGO section. So in this episode, we're doing steps 127 through 140. So let's get into it. Okay, so that is steps 127 through 140. Again, we concentrated mostly up here. This is, I'm guessing, the hood, and it's going to sit in here at an angle at some point. Once we get all these pieces sort of fixed where they're supposed to be, we added some additional pieces over here. And so that is it for this issue. Clearly it looks like we are moving faster on the Partwork DeLorean. So let me go ahead and bring that over and we can see where we're at. Also, coincidentally, this just happened to, our last step of the day ended up using all the parts for bag 4. So in the next episode, we'll be opening bag 5 of LEGO parts and continuing on with the DeLorean build. So let me bring over the Partwork and we'll compare what we have in this episode so far. Okay, so this is the DeLorean so far. We did work on this piece in the last issue. We did not attach it to the car. And then most of our work was wire work this last few issues, getting these wires in, these wires, and again, these little stickers. We also, here we installed the brake pedal, gas pedal, clutch. We put in this modification with the carpets and attached this panel to the chassis panel. And so I imagine at some point we'll be attaching this, actually it would go this way, into the vehicle at some point, but not yet. So that is it for this episode. Whew, okay, so yeah, lessons learned. Again, don't make the same mistake I did. Plan your build, and if you have any mods, be sure that you account for them before you start doing your build, so you don't have to go back and detach parts and all that good stuff. But again, this episode got a little lengthy, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but just remember that for future episodes. At least I definitely will. So let's quickly summarize. So for this episode, we completed 33 steps and used 30 parts in the Partwork build, and we completed 18 steps and used 36 parts in the LEGO build. So to date, we are at 315 steps for the Partwork build and 288 steps for the LEGO build. And for the Partwork, we have used 260 parts so far, and for the LEGO, we've used 693 parts. So again, as we've been tracking all along, our steps, the number of steps we're doing between the Partwork and the LEGO build are pretty neck and neck. They're, a few off, but the parts, we're using way more LEGO parts than we are using for the Partwork build. But by the end of the next couple episodes, you'll see those steps diverge, and there's going to be a larger gap between the steps. So stay tuned for that. So again, until we meet each other again next week, or actually later this week, happy building, take care, be kind to each other, and I will see you soon.